Good morning! As soon as I cracked that egg in the pan, the yolk busted. It did upset me a little bit because that's my favorite part. I did leftover Mexican rice, some crispy hash brown rounds, and then I usually prefer an over medium runny egg yolk over everything. Oh, and some like the 4-cheese Mexican blend, shredded cheese. That didn't happen today. It was a little bit dry. It was a little bit dry, I can't lie. But hi, welcome. My name is Mandy and Bookstagram is controlling my life today. I am not a morning person, so I was a bit scared for this first prompt. I've seen some other creators do like my followers control my life for a day, and it was like so detailed. Like they were choosing what they were wearing, what they were eating. I can't do that. I need to pick my outfits based on the settings you guys choose for me, and I have way too much food at home to list off everything in my fridge for you guys to control what I'm eating. But today you guys are choosing what and where I'm reading, how much I'm reading, where I'm getting my coffee from, what I'm doing during my reading breaks, how we're winding down in the evening. It's that kind of stuff. And the first thing I did ask was, what time am I waking up? I'm not a morning person. I was a bit anxious because I did put sunrise as an option, which is currently 5:30 in the morning. Then I did 8 a.m. and then I did sleep in and start at 10. Aren't you glad that option didn't win? Because the 8 a.m. option won. It's currently 9:30 and I've just started the sit down filming part, okay? And then I also have to go and feed a couple of my friends' cats while they're out of town. So we probably won't even be getting to the next portion until like 11 o'clock. But that's the beauty of YouTube magic. You guys don't have to wait the full time. But yeah, 810 of you voted for me to get up at 8 a.m. Shockingly, the sunrise was second place with 530 votes, and then sleep in and start at 10 was last. 26% of people voted for that, 479 of you. Insane. Honestly, I think the way this worked out is kind of genuinely my ideal day, so I'm very excited. We are going to explore a couple different locations. We're going to be reading and spending time together. I do believe there will be some crochet in here if the votes are still pulling in the direction they were last night when I checked last. Overall, it's going to be a good day. Like, I feel like the majority of the options are what I would have chosen for myself. I can't lie. There is one that had 2 options, and the one I wanted was winning, but then the gap kept getting shorter and shorter, and at one point there was only 6 votes separating the two, and now there's like 75 votes in the opposite direction. So that one we might veto. Is that cheating though? I guess that kind of does defeat the whole purpose. So we'll talk about it when we get there. Got up at 8 a.m. I actually jumped out of bed at 7:58 to be able to get the like clock turning. I already had my breakfast. I refreshed my curls and showered, did my skincare. My partner is out getting his haircut, and then once he returns, we will be starting the next leg of our adventure, which is my coffee. So I said I'm going to make breakfast at home, but should I, 1, make coffee at home, or 2, grab a latte from my favorite coffee shop? This has one of the highest vote count for one option. 706 of you voted for me to make my coffee here, which y'all know I love making a coffee at home. I make my own syrups. Sometimes I make an infused milk. It's not very frequent. But 1,167 of you did vote for me to grab a latte from my favorite coffee shop, which also happens to be a bookstore. Really, it's a bookstore with a coffee shop inside. And it is my favorite place to spend my time and money. This is the middle child. They all just got their nails trimmed last night. Isn't that right? And I only have one tiny wound from it. I almost forgot a very important step in this process, and that is because you guys told me to both leave my house for my coffee and for my reading session. I have to pick the book before I leave. And while there were options for me to continue reading The Hounding in 1984, which are the 2 books from keeping me from going further into the reading slump that I'm currently in, y'all said fuck it. Pick from the TBR jar. And I am making a TikTok at the same time, so unfortunately, I did already draw. If you haven't seen this jar before, I did a whole 30 books in 30 days series where I drew from this every single day. They're just like weird, random, some slightly unhinged prompts to make like the TBR jar and book picking process fun and also very subjective. Sometimes not. Today we did choose the first sentence cannot contain the word the. This one, not so much subjective. This is really just going to be me pulling books off of here every 5 seconds and scanning through. However, I do kind of want to do a romance. I can't lie. Like, I just made eye contact with a book I kind of want to read. Hold on. Let's see. Games. A Love Story by Anna Maria Volkova. If the first sentence does not contain the, this is going to be fate. Guys, I'm in shock. The first sentence does not contain the. And this isn't like romance. I do believe this is something more literary, a bit darker. I'm thinking more along the lines of My Dark Vanessa, except I think everyone's of age in this. It's a student and like professor, but they're college. She's college age. Oh. And it says our main character's a Capricorn with a birth chart full of red flags. Me. Wow. And also on the cover are blurbs from both Ali Hazelwood and Raven Leilani, who I just read Luster by her, and that's been one of my favorite books this year, and I need to read more from her immediately. I actually can't believe this just happened. I don't know how I'm going to film the TikTok portion of that now. Huh. Crazy how this just happened. Well, let me do this all over again for TikTok, I guess. And then, thank God, we'll get our coffee. Well, I still have to go feed the cats. But my partner's still getting his haircut. It's fine. It's fine. I forgot that since it is in fact Saturday, that not only is the farmer's market up right now, but there's always a couple opposing protests on the two corners of my little downtown square. So that'll definitely make it entertaining. I parked by the safe ones, if you know what I mean. They don't have giant pictures of fetuses saying life begins at conception. Thank God. But I do think we're gonna sit outside. It is like no sun in the air, but it's still warm. There's a nice breeze, so I think it's gonna be good to sit outside. And I have my headphones, so like the noise isn't gonna bug me. However, there will be people, lots of people walking out and about, and I am really awkward sometimes filming in public, so we'll see how this goes.
Singing happy birthday to Paul. No, I'm currently sold out of.
I forgot to say, I did have the option to go home and read on my balcony and like just get a coffee to go, but you guys did vote for me to stay here and read, over 1,000 of you actually. I also asked how much I need to read while I'm here. The options were 50 pages, 100 pages, 200 pages, or stay here until the book is finished. Thankfully, and also kind of not thankfully, we're at 100. I think that's manageable. So 100 pages in this. Oh, that's actually not bad at all. Yeah, chapter 4. Page 101 is literally the end of chapter 4, so we'll probably do 101 pages instead of 100. I did a half vanilla, half caramel latte today. Extra ice and oat milk always, and it's delicious. I never have any complaints about the coffee here, genuinely. It just hits different. So far though, it seems like Lily, our main character, is definitely a workaholic. Her friend Amina and Amina's boyfriend, who's also Lily's friend, are like trying to convince her to come out right now. I don't know if that's gonna happen though. We'll see. They also talked about an intern at Goldman Sachs who died of sheer overworking. So this is definitely the realm of work she's in, which makes sense considering the love interest is a Wall Street banker and not a professor like I thought. I, for some reason, thought this was like a student professor thing. Completely incorrect, but still gonna be juicy, I feel like. It was getting a little stuffy out there. I'm 20 pages in so far. This jumps right in. This feels like, I never read 50 Shades of Grey, but this feels like how I felt watching that movie so far.
Yeah. Yes, I know.
What's your preferred method of like, do you type, do you write?
Yes, I swear, I'm like, I need something, I just ask him and he finds it like 5 minutes later.
So that's when you reply back and you say, I just keep looking at my previous
Okay, I finished my 100 pages and I did ask you guys while I was in there if I should buy a book before leaving, and most of you said yes. So I did pick up Let Us Descend by Jesmyn Ward, but I'll update you guys soon on my thoughts on the book so far. I am liking it. Some parts not so much, but for the most part I'm enjoying it. Guys, I wish I could say I was joking when I say this, but I did in fact get home after the bookstore. It was fun. I had a great time reading. I ate lunch. I had some leftover like Polish sausage, bell peppers, and more of my leftover Mexican rice that I also had for breakfast. Then I ate the other half of this massive dessert that I had left over from date night last night. Then I did get distracted with like a 30-ish minute long YouTube video, and then I think I doom scrolled on TikTok for an hour and was just genuinely sitting on the couch by myself, laughing out loud and sending mostly cat videos to my partner. Yeah, so it is 7:15 p.m. It's 7:15 p.m., which, you know what? The good thing about that is this is a very night owl household, okay? In fact, my boyfriend just went in the bedroom and he is most likely going to be taking a nap. So I can't really go in there and watch my like evening movie anytime soon anyway. Also, it's genuinely been so long. I haven't even told you what we're doing. Let me compose myself. It's been so long since I have updated my book blanket that what should normally take me 30 to 45 minutes per granny square will likely take me an hour and a half minimum. Surprise! We're doing audiobooks and crochet. One of the options, hold on, let me pull this up. Feeling scattered. Yes, so you guys told me what time to wake up, where I was getting my coffee, so you guys already told me when I was waking up, where to get my coffee, where I would be reading at, what I was reading, and how much I was reading. And so then when I asked you guys after I have some lunch, what should I do? The options were pick up another book, which thank God that option wasn't chose, because the thought of like starting yet another book with the amount that I'm currently reading is daunting, okay? Then we had audiobook and crochet and TV break. Those were the three options. Audiobook and crochet won by a landslide, okay? There were three options, not just two. There were three options for this one, and still 1,206 votes. 61% of you voted for audiobooks and crochet, which, like, yeah. You know, I needed that. I needed that motivation because I did just post that I was going to update my book blanket. If you don't follow me on TikTok, last year first of all, I love to crochet. That's like my true hobby. Like, reading has morphed somehow, magically, thankfully, from my hobby into my job. And crochet is like my true hobby, I feel like, at this point. And last year I made a book blanket. So I did a granny square for every single book that I read, and there was 3 components to each square where the shade of the component designated something about the book that I read. So like the sun, they were all shades of yellow, representing the star rating of the book, except for a silver glitter that was reserved for my 5 stars. And then the moon had varying shades of purple, and each shade of purple represented a genre. So I don't read like a super crazy amount of genres, so I kind of limited it to, I think there were 6. I did like sci-fi, fantasy, literary fiction, horror / mystery / thriller, romance. Did I already say that? That blanket's literally done. But I read 60 books, and I like, a lot of the series was me updating it at the end of 2025 because I had put it off for so long. Like I had been doing it really like during the first half of the year and then just didn't touch it again after June until like September. And I had like, or probably later than that, honestly, maybe like October. And I had 30 books, I think, to catch up on, like, so 30 granny squares. And I was like so overwhelmed, and I was crocheting so much. It took me so long. It was so rewarding. I love it. I think it's gorgeous. It sits on the back of my like pink chair in my little teeny tiny reading corner in my living room. This year we're doing something different, and also I am over 50 books behind already. Yeah. So I read 60 books in total last year. I am currently sitting, I believe, at 61 or 62 for the year, and I've only done 8 squares. Like last year completely went into the meta details of the book and like how I felt about it. This year we're really just focusing on where the book is coming from. And so it's either going to be from my physical collection, arcs, even though some of them are part of my physical collection and some of them are digital arcs. Any arc is going to count as an arc and not as a physical book. And then library. So anything from Libby, anything from Hoopla, and anything physically from the library goes there. There is a bit murky water with like Spotify and Everand. Those I am counting as physical TBR. That might not make sense, but it makes sense in my brain. They're not arcs, and they're definitely not library books, and like I pay for those subscriptions, so I feel like it makes the most sense to put them in physical. Plus, more often than not, if I do an audiobook and I end up loving it, I buy the book anyway, you know? In addition to that reading format, I have, I believe, 9 different yarn colors that we can pick from for each granny square, and it's just like doing our best to match the cover. Like, let's say for example, I'm reading The Hounding right now, but I would probably pick like this blue and this green. And so this actually very conveniently kind of matches perfectly, but other times it doesn't. Like today, what we're going to be crocheting, ow, I don't know why I needed to say ow. I hit my book on pens. That did not impact me physically at all. Today's book is a library book, so I don't have it with me, but it is Model Home by River Solomon, which is a neon green book with black and white text. I don't have neon green, obviously, so we're using this like olive green and black to do that. The library book square is the checker patterned one, and I actually literally just thought of this in this moment. My square for physical books is an eyeball, and we're gonna get to do an eyeball for George Orwell's 1984, and obviously I have red and I have black and I have white, and that's going to be like the most like perfect square I feel like of all of them, like in terms of matching. So like it's not always going to 100% match, but it is going to like channel the colors while also fitting in this like color palette that I have put together for the blanket. I think it's kind of hard to see the color palette right now, like it looks random, but as the colors start, you know, showing up more, like I think it will begin to make more sense, especially if I read like 100 books, like 10 of these in a row, you're gonna have every single color at least once, and I think it's gonna come together really cool. Now, the question is what to read. I am liking games. I'm going to give you like my full thoughts on the first 100 pages of Games, A Love Story later after we have finished consuming all of the media for today. So I think we're going to do The Hounding. It's not readily available on Libby or Hoopla, so I am just going to use some of my Spotify hours to pick up where I am in here. Again, it's been so long since I have done one of these. Thankfully, the checkered pattern is actually one that I bought. It was like $5 for the pattern. It took me so long to find a checkered granny square pattern because it is a granny square. This isn't just like a patch. This is a granny square. So since I bought it, I have like step-by-step written like both shorthand and full out instructions. This one is just like, I have a screenshot from Pinterest and it's purely the symbols and like thankfully I can read patterns. And then this one, I think I also just have, I don't know what it's called, just the pattern of symbols. But I also have tweaked this one to make it be able to be the same size. Like I had to adjust both of these to be the same size as this one because this one is so particular. As you can imagine, trying to build squares with circles. So these two I did have to adjust. Thankfully, I wrote down the hook size. That being said, it's going to take a lot of my brain power to focus on this pattern. But it's okay. We're just going to keep this on 1 time speed for the audiobook. Normally, I begin with 2 and then usually go to 2.5. If it's a romance, it's probably on 3. Narrators just speak in slow motion. But I need it to be in slow motion for me to not miss anything while I'm picking this crochet back up. And like, I haven't forgotten how to crochet. It's just the pattern specifically. I'm gonna shut the fuck up now. Let's pull up the audiobook, shall we? I actually think I have just enough time to listen on 1x speed and like finish the square. That's actually insane. I'm not gonna lie, I low-key convinced myself for a second that I like forgot how to crochet. More specifically, forgot how to read this. Like, this fully breaks it down. I mean, it uses abbreviations still, but this pattern fully breaks it down. I can't show you because I did purchase it. If this was just a free one, I would show you. This is what we have so far. 4 little checkers. So again, this is what it's gonna look like, and this is what we have. So this is, we're almost done with like the center 4 here. I have 1 more row and then we'll be working on the outer layer of checkers. The hounding's crazy. I actually can't believe I'm almost done with this. It's so wild watching this town just slowly begin to fall apart, all because of what I'm assuming is a misunderstanding of young depressed girls getting their period and reaching adulthood. That's what I'm thinking so far. I don't think anyone's actually turning into dogs, but like the whole town is like, these girls are turning into dogs. I saw them walk down a street and then I heard some dogs howling. Now all these animals are dead. How'd these animals die? How'd this many animals die if those girls ain't dogs? I know it's like Victorian, but that is how I'm hearing it in my head. The crochet is going better than I thought, so let's keep going. That did not take me nearly as long as I expected. And she turned out perfect. I did have to frog an entire row. I did in fact have to do that, but you know, that's still expected. And again, 53 minutes left in the audiobook. I thought it was going to take me the entire audiobook to get through this. That's kind of insane. However, the sun is setting right now. It's pure cotton candy. Oh my god, I just saw a firefly too. I haven't seen a firefly yet this year. That's just like the perfect sign that now is officially time to do my second to last task of the night, which I asked you guys. Once it starts to get late, should I change into PJs and watch a movie in bed or make an evening library run? Sabrina, no, mama. I can't lie. This is the one where I was like, should I veto it? Because I was really hoping for an evening library run, but I think this worked out. The movie won by 180 votes. There was 6 votes separating them at one point yesterday. Absolute insanity. But the library is now closed, so I would not have any I would not have had any time to doom scroll earlier, and I kind of needed the doom scroll break. It was fun. So if that won, this whole evening would look completely different. Also, I like already put my sweatpants on earlier, so I think it's just the natural next thing. However, we do need to put up a poll to see what we should watch. I could probably do another granny square, but honestly I don't want to. Just be happy I did one. That was my first one in, I think since like March or February. No, since March. That was my first one since March. I feel like we should watch something like fun. What's on Netflix? Let's go to Netflix first. Oh, that's a rom-com. Ooh, should I watch Crazy Stupid Love? That is like my favorite rom-com. Maybe I should just do genre. We'll do genre. We'll do rom-com, horror, ooh, or sci-fi. I have been so into sci-fi movies. I'll put up a poll and then we'll check it in a little bit. We'll get cozied up and wait for my partner to wake up from his nap so then I can take over the bedroom and have our little movie night together. We have officially made it into the last location of the day. I asked you guys a genre because I genuinely couldn't come up with options quickly enough to put like 3 different things up on my story, like specific movies for you guys to vote on, so I did genres. And let's see where it is. Okay, it's only been up for an hour, so not nearly as many votes. But what is winning, and only winning by 20 votes, is horror with 171 votes. Rom-com is second with 151. Sci-fi over like 100 votes behind. It's at 85. Kind of crazy. So we're gonna watch a horror. I love horror movies, but I'm also notoriously picky with them. I'm wondering if we should watch like a new to me Mike Flanagan show. I just think that sounds fun. I had to wash my face because I just felt like so greasy after being out in like the damp air for so long earlier. I did not, however, brush my teeth because my partner just put some pizza rolls in the oven for me to have a little in bed horror movie snack. Every time I come up like on a TikTok of a scene, I do save it to a folder. So it's just full of movies and TV shows that I've watched like one little snippet of, you know. Maybe we're not going to do a horror because Theo James and Aaron Taylor Johnson. Let's see if that let's see if that's streaming real quick. Because I did save a thirst edit. Yeah. Let's see if that's on anything. You have to rent it. Oh, it's like military. Let's go back to Mike Flanagan. I've seen a lot of his movies. I've seen Hush. I've seen Gerald's Game. I've seen... Those are the only 2 I can think of right now. Of his shows, I've seen Midnight Mass. Wow. Haunting of Hill House. Also wow. Couple years, I think, since I've seen both of those. I watched them very close to each other. I've never watched The Fall of House of Usher. The Midnight Club. Should we do The Fall of the House of Usher? The one thing that has been stopping me from starting this, honestly, is Kate Siegel's horrible silver hair. I hate it. I feel like it looks like a bad wig. Like, she could have literally dyed her hair in it. The way it's looking on her genuinely looks like a bad wig. Maybe it is actually a bad wig. I think we should do this, though, and wait for my pizza rolls. Oh. Was that Luke Skywalker, or did I imagine that? Because I also thought the first old man was the old man from Boy Meets World. That was the teacher. And I know that's not right. Oh, it's the guy from Double Jeopardy. Do we have any Cholula?
Huh, we don't. I looked. I'm sorry.
Gotta let these bad boys cool. What a day yesterday. I did promptly fall asleep after 1 episode of The Fall of the House of Usher. However, I am loving it. I think that was exactly what I needed. It perfectly scratched the itch. I felt like, even though it wasn't a movie, it was still the right genre that y'all selected for me. And I'm like very eager to continue with that show. I love a good limited series, especially when it's like a horror or a thriller. It's just perfection. But because I did fall asleep, we are now doing our little media wrap up for yesterday. So to begin, I started Games, A Love Story when I went to my local bookstore to read, and this is what I read 100 pages of. I have some thoughts. I'm really enjoying it. At the same time, there are scenes that make me feel like it's a hate read. Lily and Alexander are our 2 main characters. Lily just turned 23. Alexander is a well-established, potentially billionaire. It's kind of seeming like, I feel like they didn't specifically say he was a billionaire, but you know, he's taking her on a private tour of the Met. So there's that. Just some of their conversations. Like, I don't think I would want to be friends with Lily in real life. She seems like someone who would absolutely rip into you for doing something and then 5 seconds later she would be doing it herself. Like at one point she chastises him for having dairy milk in his fridge, like berates him over it and how harmful it is. And then 10 seconds later she's like, okay, but where are the Oreos? Let's have some Oreos and milk. It feels like that. It feels like that. And these conversations are so long-winded as well, which I do appreciate, like intense dialogue between main characters in a romance where they're really able to get to know each other. However, it definitely feels just like info dumping at times and like a woke war. Sorry to say it, like it feels like she's just doing the most, and again would just be extremely unpleasant to be around in real life. I love being woke. Lily, however, is seemingly too busy wanting to be woke that it's almost like she doesn't actually care. She just wants you to be the biggest asshole in the room and herself to be the most morally high. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm feeling. So while I am loving this book and I am loving the romantic interactions, I'm enjoying the moments that Lily is having with her friends. It's specifically the conversations she's having with Alexander, because he definitely challenges her viewpoint both on life and within herself. But again, then she's like sleeping with him. So I'm having fun, but I'm also heavily rolling my eyes at times. I will be reading this to its completion though. By the end of this, there's potential for this to be a 5-star. There's also potential for this to be a 1-star. This is like the most up in the air I have felt about a book in a long time. And again, I'm 100 pages in. I'm ready to start chapter 5. Like, I am a good chunk into this book and I have so many feelings. We also made a lot of progress in the hounding while I was crocheting yesterday. People were definitely right where, yeah, this book just begins to pick up more and more and more as you go on. Like, we're picking up speed. A man has died, surprisingly. And also not who I thought would be dying, if anyone, to be completely real with you. But I also never thought we would end up in this scenario specifically. So I'm so curious to see where else the book is going. I have 0 complaints about this book so far. I have high hopes that this will be very well rated on my list. But again, endings are so massive to me. I mean, they're massive to everyone. I don't know why I'm acting like that's unique to me. The ending will absolutely make or break this because I am ready for like that final act moment in the story. So I'm nervy. I did also put up a last minute poll while I was at the bookstore asking whether or not I should purchase a book. I think 98% of you were like, yeah, you're in a bookstore, buy a book. So I bought Let Us Descend by Jesmyn Ward. I've heard so many things about her and I've been wanting to read Ward's books for quite a while now, never really sure where to begin. This was the only book they had on hand from her. And honestly, it was this quote from Vogue on the back that did it for me. It says, "Nothing short of epic, magical, and intensely moving." This dives into the, quote, darkest chapters of American history, a searching novel following a young enslaved girl who was sold south by a white enslaver who fathered her. She descends from the rice fields of the Carolinas to the heart of a Louisiana sugar plantation, where she encounters a land, the rich yet unforgiving forests, swamps, and rivers of the American South, that is teeming with spirits of earth and water, of myth and history, spirits who nurture and give, and those who manipulate and take. I really think there's going to be some magical realism in this, and that is what was like, oh, okay, because I love magical realism. Magical realism is like the cherry on top for genuinely any genre. If there's magical realism in it, I am a million times more likely to pick it up. It just like, it does something to me, especially romance. Like, 'cause sometimes romances can be boring and repetitive at times. Definitely not always. There are many romances without magical realism that I absolutely love. But when there is magical realism in a book, I feel like it takes it to a whole new level. It's completely elevated. And I love magical realism so much, especially in literary fiction. Especially if there's a little horror subgenre to it as well. Yeah, I'm talking about Mona Awad. Who's surprised? But overall, it was a fantastic day. It was definitely the most productive reading day I've had in a long time, just with this reading slump that I'm drowning in. It's fine. However, I'm really glad that we got to spend the whole day together, and I feel like you guys, without me even realizing it, picked the things that I needed most, because even if I was irritated at you for not being able to go to the library in the evening, it kind of saved my ass and it gave me more time to unwind and relax and enjoy the things that I was doing at home with y'all. Really a perfect day. Next up on the docket, we will be starting the sequel to Flowers in the Attic. I am going to do another I read this so you don't have to spoilery kind of video, and we're also doing that with another book. I do think I'm going to do the next Flowers in the Attic book first, or should we do Yesteryear? That's the other book that I was planning on doing this with anyway. And I'm like, maybe Yesteryear would be fun to break up the Flowers in the Attic series a little bit, but also keep the I Read This So You Don't Have to series going. And I also just think that's such a wildly popular book right now to dive into, and it'd be fun, like sharing that commentary with you guys, because I'm sure the majority of you have read it. Like, I feel like a little bit late to the game, even though it just came out. It's just taken the internet by storm. So I am like, maybe we'll do that one next. Maybe I'll start that today, actually. Gotta see if I can get my hands on that. I'm waiting for the ebook on Libby. I did have it, and then my reading sump was like, no, don't start it yet. Okay, whatever. So now I've got to fight for my life to get it back. We'll see what I can do. But thank you guys for watching. I will see you soon. I've been loving being active on YouTube. It's kind of weird, but it's fun. And I hope you're having fun. I hope you're having fun. Please, tell me you're having fun, please. That was to Meredith. Choose me, pick me, love me. But also, choose me, pick me, love me. Goodbye.